are. This is the Cinema 9 podcast. I'm Michael Govier. It's Travis Roy. It's Eric Branstrom, and we do movie talk here every week. We talk about one movie, and today's focus will be The Crying Game from 1992. Neil Jordan directed. And we always like to start the show with all kinds of random stuff, but you do need to know that cinema9pod@gmail.com is how you can contact us. You may also give us a 5-star review, 5-star rating, subscribe to our YouTube. We post all of our videos now on YouTube. They're not live, but they're the video after the fact. So if you want to follow along and see us instead of just listening to us on the podcast version, which is totally fine, that's your prerogative. It's my prerogative. Do what I want to do. Travis, what's your prerogative?
Yeah, I don't really have a Bobby Brown themed joke just ready in the chamber. I'm sorry, but my prerogative is good. I'm pro-choice. I'm pro-prerogative.
Pro Stephen Ray's hair in this movie?
Kill your own kind.
Yes. It must be done. I mean, what is a show without tradition, you know?
For sure.
What about you, Eric? It's summertime. Yeah, you got some work done. You're feeling good about yourself?
Who died recently that we haven't mentioned? Death
Treat
Watch?
Williams. Treat Williams died.
Treat Williams. Rest in peace.
Yeah, he was a good one. Doing some of his best work on Shrinking, and then taken from us.
Oh, you're kidding. He was on that
program? Oh, he was on there?
Yeah, he's great on it, too. But,
fuck.
Oh, man.
It's a shame.
Did you ever see Once Upon a Time in America?
Mm-mm. Yes.
I keep wanting to see that. It looks like a
slog.
It's a
slog. It's a big effort, especially now. In fact, I don't know how I ever watched it before. I should actually be more
can't do it.
Open to watching it. But
I just remember this like sepia-toned VHS double cassette thing.
Double VHS is one thing, but that sepia tone, can't do it.
Once Upon a Time in America, is that Bertolucci, right?
Sergio Leone.
Oh, boy, there you go.
Oh, no, I did see that one, didn't I? I think I did.
Well, that's the one where De Niro gets a hand job on screen with Gerard Depardieu.
Gerard Depardieu gives him a hand job?
Oh, they both get hand jobs from some type. I think they're in a brothel.
Is it like a skiing situation?
Yeah, it's real. I've seen it on Mr. Skin a long time ago. It blew my mind. I'm like, holy shit, this is Robert De Niro getting beat off on camera. What the fuck is going on right now? It's crazy. I was just surprised, and I was like, you know what? Good for you. Way to go.
We're after a good start.
He's a method actor. He always was, right?
Yeah, better make me come or else I'm not really acting.
Now we know why there was 2 tapes.
Yeah, 2 tapes, 2 dicks. We got one email from Steve, our friend Steve. Brecken Bad is the title, and it's just a picture of Breckin Meyer holding up a Writers Guild on strike sign that says, "Do you really want me acting again?" It's funny.
Top 10 Breckin Meyer performances. Go.
Road Trip.
Taillights Fade. What else we got?
Clueless.
Clueless? Yeah. Can't Hardly Wait.
Can't Hardly Wait, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Garfield 1 and 2.
We've got a list brewing here.
I sure like him for not doing all that much.
Was he in Best Laid Plans for a minute, or am I just making that up?
That was Alessandro Nivola. I remember he was...
Oh, yeah. Him and Josh Brolin. Never mind.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got.
That's all I got.
I got nothing else.
I saw Road Trip in the theater on acid. It was a great day. So I'll never forget it.
My most memorable... He's doing fine. He came out recently.
Oh, okay. Sure.
My top acid experience in theaters was Sixth Sense for the first time.
Ooh!
Oh shit!
Yep. Happened.
Oh wow! I thought you were there for the Joan of Arc movie. That was another one. I think some other people we know did.
I wasn't there for that, but I'm glad.
Drop acid and watch The Messenger.
Ew! By the way, Travis, you got a fun weekend coming up. You excited?
I'm very excited. Very excited.
No Effects final tour, dude. It's over.
Gonna see No Effects.
Pulling the trigger. No shit.
Five of their albums. It's gonna be fantastic. And Bouncing Souls and Less Than Jake.
They're playing 5 of their albums?
Yeah, they're playing Punk and Drublick. They're playing The Decline, White Trash, Two Heaves and a Bean, So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes, and Self-Entitled.
Wow.
No
Holy
way.
cow.
Yeah.
Where's
exciting.
this?
This is in Thornville, Ohio.
Beautiful. Outside of Columbus territory.
You know,
nice area.
I really want to get down to that punk rock museum that Fat Mike started. It looks like they got some really cool stuff. You can like play the instruments that all the original band members played. They can just like walk up to the instruments and like jam on them.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's fun.
cool.
That's very cool.
Sounds good. Well, we'll see if it's NoFX's final show or not. I'm not so
Yeah.
sure that's the case, but
I'm
we know
less
how that
skeptical.
goes.
Yeah.
Either way, let's talk movies and let's talk quarantine viewing picks. Travis, what would you like to suggest or not recommend going forward for us this week?
I actually did watch some stuff. I finished up Brooklyn Nine-Nine finally and love it. But on the other hand, Amazon Prime cruelly took away Mad About You and like mid-watch for me. I've been like just teasing my way through it or, slowly enjoying it, savoring every beige moment. But no, they took it away. So that's upsetting. I checked out Duel from 2022. Riley Stearns has done really good work with Faults and The Art of Self-Defense. I don't think this is the best film he's done out of those three, but it's sure worth checking out, especially if you like Karen Gillan. That was definitely worth seeing. Renfield. I watched Renfield.
Okay.
It was. I love Nick Cave. Oh, excuse me, Nick. Yes,
Nick Cave. That's
Cage.
Eric. Yeah, you got mixed up there.
I love Nick Cave too. That's something else I'm working on. Sorry. I was just talking about him. I love Nick Cage. Ooh. And he is someone that I usually see all of his movies in theaters, but this one I just didn't really get the chance, and I really wish I had because it was fucking awesome. It was a lot of fun, very stylistic, very, very movie. Like it makes no pretense at trying to be like, hey, take this seriously. This is, this is logical and that kind of shit. It's just fun. It's just good fun. And lastly, I went to the theaters and caught Across the Spider-Verse, which I loved. I didn't love it more than the first one. I gave it 8 on the old IMDb. Let me put it that way.
It's got a 9 right now overall. Yeah. It's really high.
It's fantastic. I've got one big issue with it, which I won't say at this point, but if you've seen it, you probably know what my issue with it is, because it's pretty great.
Dang.
Ew. Well, I want to see it.
Oh, definitely
Theater experience. How was your theater experience?
To be honest with you, I didn't see the first one in theaters, and I was like, I really got to make sure to see the second one in theaters, and I don't really feel like it made a huge world of difference.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Damn. Not necessary anymore. You know what? I've just been watching Curb nonstop. I'm on season 11 now. It's nonstop. So,
that's it.
I did watch. I did watch.
The Crying Game.
To Wong Fu, thanks for everything,
Yeah!
Julie Newmar.
What's that like now?
I had never seen it before. I saw Patrick Swayze's face, mascara-laden face, and I hit play, and I was chuckling. You know what? I was chuckling. It's just fun. It's a fun early 90s movie.
Chuckling.
It's just so different. It's just so different.
Wesley Snipes is great in it. He really goes for it.
Oh boy.
Maybe it's been a while, but I thought he really went for it. Maybe he went overboard.
He was the
I bet he went
seemed
for
like
it.
he was kind of poking fun at what he was supposed to be doing. Whereas Patrick Swayze was like putting on like a legitimately great performance.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. He's great in it.
Yeah,
and
Lake
Leguizamo was good in it too. And I'm usually pretty critical of him.
Irritating, but
no, he's Leguizamo.
He's good. Yeah.
Let's go back in time real quick though, because when we were all the same age once upon a time. We still are. Actually, we'll always be as long as we're alive. As teenage kids, To Wong Fu, it was just nonstop ripping on that movie because the title was long and stupid. We always used to. It was just an immediate joke. To Wong Fu. We'd all start laughing because it was just so dumb. Well, never even saw it, but
I can't remember when this came out, but like, I got a feeling it was when like
it's 95.
Patrick Swayze like was in his fucking like on top of the world, wasn't it? I mean, after
this was when he went on Hard Times, like the Black Rain.
Was it?
This is the mid '90s Buzzkill days, I believe.
Yeah, this is one of the bright lights in the dimmer part of his career.
Yeah, it came out in '95.
Fuck. Yeah. Okay. Dumb movie. Like Chris Penn. Stupid.
It's fun though.
That's it though. A lot of Curb. These past few seasons are getting like some shit for like not being as good. I'm laughing my ass off nonstop.
Yeah, people don't know what they're talking
single
about.
episode.
It's the same old shit, man. It's still funny.
Yeah. There you go, man. What about you, Mike?
You didn't, Travis? You disagree?
I started watching the most recent season, and I got like 3 or 4 episodes in. I didn't even make a conscious choice. I just stopped watching it. I just haven't gone back to it. I'm just like, I'm fine.
Well, we're allowed to be idiosyncratic, right? We have our own options, our own choices. Everyone here.
I think we've
Be
already
yourselves.
established that we follow our own prerogatives.
It's my right. I'll smoke weed when I do. All right. For me, Eric, boy, I'll tell you what. First off, I want to mention that I was on the Dragon Movie Guy and his show. So
Yeah, listen to that.
Thanks, Dragon Movie Guy, for letting me come on. We talk movies. Yay!
That was
He
fun.
has this thing he does where he ranks. First off, this guy goes to the theater every week. He goes to the theater every week,
Amazing.
guys. Yeah, and I was thinking, like, what happened to me? Why not? I mean, like, there are dollar days. There's like Tuesdays where it's $5. I could totally go to the theater once a week, and he posts a quick review on a movie every week from the theater. It was really strange how it hit me. Like, wow, that's impressive, but it's not that hard to do. I have a sister-in-law who works in a movie theater. We go for free, and I never do. So,
It's
Yeah.
not the money, man. Like it used to just be either TV, network television, some interesting cable, and then the movie theater. It's just not like that anymore. Landscape is out of control. There's just so much content that is so accessible that there's not this need to get down to that theater anymore, which is sad.
And as society continues to decay, the theater experience is becoming less and less enjoyable.
the society is decaying. I would agree with that
Society.
for sure. It
Society.
continues to decay. Society. Yeah. But I was like, you know what? I was thinking I might try to like do that now. Like, why not? Why not
Why not?
go to the theater once
Well,
a
I'm
week?
going to Indiana Jones next Thursday. I'm going to be reporting on Indy 5 before for the show on next week.
We would love.
3
Okay, well,
o'clock
we're looking.
tickets.
I'm gonna totally rely on you to see that film. 'Cause-
Problem?
I didn't catch the. Do I need to see the skull one?
no, that thing was a piece of
this was
shit.
good.
So,
I didn't.
No,
What?
I like it.
oh, get the
I'm an
fart out of
apologist.
here, man.
I'm an apologist. It's good.
Okay, I haven't seen it in a long time, but my excitement when I saw it in the theater that year, which was the same year the fucking Dark Knight came out, so it was a high standard of movies that year. Maybe that's unfair. Maybe it was like, it's not bad. I don't know. I gotta
Revisit
go
it,
back.
man. If
for what
we
it's
ever do
worth-
movie jail again, like I will definitely bring that to the table. I think there's a lot of fun points in that film.
For what it's worth, Eric, you are the second person to ever say that to me, so you're not alone.
Okay.
Yay! You are not alone.
Very musical today.
Oh shit.
Okay, yeah, so thanks, Dragon Movie Guy. Good
Yeah,
show.
that was
He's
a fun episode.
it was fun. We talked about, he does this thing where he ranks those movies that he sees each month. So the month of May movies, but I don't see a lot of new movies. So he just allowed me to rank 5 movies I'd seen in May, which is nice of him. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. You're a good man. Make sure you guys follow his YouTube. He's trying to grow his YouTube. So please check out that episode. Just let it play in the background and forget about it or something. Just support Brian. He's a good guy. I watched last night, Travis. I finally got around to it. I sat down and I was excited, actually. I watched Quantumania.
Oh, didn't care for it.
It's not that simple. I don't think it's that simple. It's complicated. It's a lot of derivatives of other things, which I guess you could really, a lot of movies will, if you start to unspool the yarn, you'll see that everywhere.
Yeah.
But there's also some really funny moments, like the MODOK is hilarious.
I love MODOK.
Yeah.
I love MODOK.
That was fucking great. That was great.
Yes.
And there's some really funny moments, like, oh my, out loud laughter I had. But then there's other parts like, fuck, Marvel, come on, man. It's like, there are so many unique stories to tell in life, and Marvel can do that. It doesn't have to, they've given themselves such free range now that they could really continue to expand the storytelling. And it doesn't have to be world-changing storytelling. It just has to, I don't know, feel like it's a little bit fresh still. And maybe, I feel
thought
like
it
it was a little
was.
stale to me.
I thought it was fresh, man. It was a very much a break away from the previous Ant-Man movies, which I like both those movies better, frankly. But I thought it was a left turn for the franchise.
In what way, though? Like, without spoiling
Well,
it, is it possible to say?
I mean, I think it's called Quantum Mania, and if you've seen the previews, you know that everyone gets very, very small. So, and that you're going to this other universe and all that kind of stuff, and you're spending the whole time in this, this other space, which you don't necessarily get that. And I think they didn't do a great job of like setting it up necessarily. It's just kind of like, okay, we're there. But
Yeah.
there's definitely some rushed moments. But I was
Eric
happy
stepped
with
away,
it.
by the way, while we're doing
Yeah,
this.
he's not the biggest MCU fan. I'm sure he's already decided that he hates Quantumania. I kid.
You know what I thought it was that bothered me was that it felt like they tried to capture what Thor Ragnarok was, how that was more groundbreaking, and like, oh wow, this is different, and they turned the franchise in a different direction there as well.
Yeah.
So to me, I look at these notes I wrote down. I mentioned that, and it was just kind of like blah for the first half hour, and yeah, like the kid. Why do we have to have the kid there? I didn't want that, but I know it's Marvel, so they're trying to, they're trying to reach everybody. I get that. It was just
and
other things. I thought
she's big in the comics. The character structure.
Oh,
or
well, there you go. I never read an
that.
Ant-Man comic. I have no idea. So.
I haven't either, but I'm familiar enough with the nerdery of it to be like
Another thing
they're
that bothered me.
introducing Stature.
Okay, that makes sense. That's fine. But then also, it seems like they just keep trying to bring in the magic of the Avengers Assemble moment from the final installment of Endgame. And it's like, oh, here comes everybody. It was a total fucking ripoff, or just Rise of Skywalker sucked. And the fact that they would try to do like a Rise of Skywalker type style where like everybody shows up to say, let's all fight the power. It's just, it bothered me to no end. I thought that was really shitty storytelling. But, and Paul Rudd being angry, it's just tough for me to buy it with him. He did his best. He's a good actor, but Paul Rudd angry is tough to sell. It is for me. So.
Hey, well, fair enough.
Didn't Secret Invasion hit today?
Yep. Yesterday, actually. I watched the first episode. I wasn't blown away, but it's only the first episode.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanna watch that too, but I wanted to watch this, and then I got to watch Guardians, and then I'll settle in. But
Get back after you've seen Guardians on how you feel about the MCU at the moment.
Okay, good, excellent. I also watched 1991's The Hard Way. Michael J. Fox and James
Baloney.
Hard
The
Way.
Party Crasher.
Yeah, man. Frog ducks. Tasty.
Yeah. This is such an early 90s, like trying to capture the 80s, another 48 hours. The two guys were, it's so cliche now because we've seen it done and parodied so much now. But it's an entertaining movie. I enjoyed it.
Actually, I've been wanting to bring it to the show for some time.
I was going to say, Mike, you fucked up again.
Are
I've
you
got a
kidding
traffic
me?
situation here.
Oh, The Hard Way.
You've
Come
been
on.
thinking about it too? That's
Yeah.
so funny.
Oh, my God.
From me to you. From me to you.
I saw this movie. I remember the first time I saw it with Corey, our friend Corey, at his house in Heartland on Ravenswood Way. And when it came out on VHS, we rented it one night, and I thought it was so stupid. I'm like, this movie sucks. But now I liked it. So The Hard Way. Want to let people know it's not bad. It's pretty good. And that's it. I'll leave. Oh, last one real quick. And it hasn't been talked about much. Confess Fletch. Totally dismissed.
It's fun. I loved it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, Travis. I
things.
thought Confess Fletch was fun and entertaining and an interesting mystery too, and it like had all these interesting characters in a natural storytelling way. The fact that it was completely dismissed and just dumped by the studio because they didn't believe in it was disappointing because it's directed by a guy, Greg Mottola. I love his work with Adventureland and something else. Either way,
I would watch more sequels of this if they make it. I thought it was
I would
great.
too. John Hamm was able to push Chevy Chase aside. I thought he did it. That's not easy to do.
I thought so too.
Okay, good. Well, that's good to know. Definitely check out Confess Fletch if you can find. I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Some
Amazon
streamer.
movie. Yeah. There you go. All right. Good times noodle salad. Let's talk about the crying game. It's a song I was not familiar with whatsoever, by the way, when I saw this movie.
Well, you get
I've never
10
heard that
versions of it in this film.
I think it was a bigger hit in the UK than over here because
Is that what it was?
Because it came out like at 64 or 68, somewhere in there, and I'd never heard it outside of this movie in my life.
I've heard a lot of oldies from those days, and I'd never heard that song either. So, this is Neil Jordan directed, 1992, starring Stephen Ray, Forrest Whitaker.
Kill your own kind.
Zing! And introducing somebody Dickinson who plays
Jay Davidson.
Jay Davidson. Shit. Okay, yeah. It
Rob.
should have been it. I didn't want to spoil the IMDb score by opening it yet. I never like to do that, so I do it from memory in the beginning. And now I can open the IMDb because I'm getting ready to guess the score. But Travis, this crying game came out in 92. Do you have an original story related to the first viewing?
I actually do. I've mentioned on this show quite a few times how my mother's boyfriend, when I was a kid, would record movies and bring them to us.
There it is again.
Well, sure enough, in the stack of VHSs one day comes The Crying Game. I'm 12 years old. I know nothing about this movie, so I just sit down and watch it. This is before, it's like, I had not even heard like anything about it because I was out of the radar and I didn't know if it was a new movie or old movie. It was probably brand new. And I sat down and watched it. And I watched it a bunch growing up. I really liked it, and I watched it quite a few times growing up. And
Travis, where's my copy of The Crying Game?
It's my copy of The Crying Game, actually. So not a normal movie that you'd think a 12-year-old would be all about, but I thought it was pretty great.
Eric, no way you saw this when it came out.
Are you fucking kidding me, Mike? No, I saw this last year. I saw like half of it last year. And like I got busy, so I couldn't finish it. Like I didn't go back to finish it up. But yeah, I remember the poster. Remember that girl on the poster, like the gun. Yeah. I'm still not sure. Was that Miranda Richardson? Like who was it?
Yeah, that's definitely
strange
her.
Marketing. Very strange marketing that we can talk about too, for sure. But yeah, I missed it.
I said this on the last show we did. The whole dick thing was just thrown all over pop culture on late night shows and. So that's all I ever heard about the movie, and I had no idea because I'd never seen it. So this was my first viewing, and I wanted to see it for that reason. And boy, society once again got it wrong. They really missed a lot of the key important points of this film, I would say, to put it mildly. But let's get into the guessing of the score on The Crying Game.
So if you don't have the drop for that's putting it mildly, you're just going to say it.
That's putting it mildly.
There it
is. Always
is.
ready to go. There it is. That's right. I did just say it. You're right. I did. James Cromwell. What do we got? The well-respected film, it seems like. It's got a decent legacy, I would assume. So the question to me is it an 8 or not?
Well, people are homophobic and transphobic.
Oh, shit.
But at the same time, this movie was widely celebrated when it came out. I mean, the critics hailed it. And I mean, Jay Davidson, his first performance, he's nominated for Best Supporting Actor. So I'm going to say it doesn't quite make the 8s, but I'm going to say 7-9.
Intense.
7-3.
7-3. Well, why not? Just for fun. I'll say it's 7-6 because I like variety.
What's the difference?
And it is. Oh, wow. 7.2.
All right, Eric, you win.
Maybe Travis was onto something with the people who are homophobic and such. 58,000 reviews, not super high. Doesn't crack the 100,000 threshold, which to me is usually the minimum for like a lot of people reviewing it. Rotten Tomatoes wise, remember this came out in 92, so we'll probably get some dated reviews, but people still go back and watch these movies like we did now, and they offer their opinions. It's a 94 for the critics, excellent score.
I would expect so.
Okay.
But a little higher on this end from IMDb at a 78 from the audience, but a slight disparity of, what is that, 16? How do you do math?
It's not huge. I don't know how to do math, but that's not huge.
How do you do? Do people still use math?
I can spell it.
Let's start. How about Mick LaSalle? This is fresh from Mick LaSalle from the San Francisco Chronicle. Yeah. This is from January, so this is brand new. Irish director Neil Jordan's compelling new film. So this can't be new if this has to be taken from the time period.
Yeah, probably posted in 2023, but written in.
I hate those dates. They screw it all up. Yeah, they need to clarify that on here. The new film is both a political thriller and a love story, uniting various sexual and political currents into one dreamlike narrative. Is this a dreamlike narrative?
I'm going to have to disagree. I don't find it to be a dreamlike narrative.
Is that because there's constant shots of Forrest Whitaker in a sweater playing cricket?
It's kind of tossing it casually. He's a bowler, I guess. He's got the fuzzy wicket or whatever. I don't know what the fuck.
That's funny. I know as much about cricket as you do, so I feel like we're on the same level.
So yeah, that's how what you know about cricket is what I know about every sport.
It makes all the sense in the world now.
Yeah, Casey Jones wields a bat, the cricket bat.
Yes, I love that. I thought that was one of the cool parts about his character. I always enjoyed that. Gene Siskel, one of the year's best films.
Yeah.
Probably on his top 10 list. I got to go find that video for his 92 top 10.
Great video. A lot of critics felt, I think at the time.
Many critics said things. Oh, how about this? This is Kismet. It's Stephen Ray of the Philadelphia Inquirer.
What?
Spelled with a V, not PH.
But REA?
Yeah.
That's so funny. He doesn't
Stephen
kill his
Ray.
own kind.
Maybe he does. He just doesn't like to talk about it. I don't know.
Review your own kind.
Jordan veers from taut thriller to devilishly sly comedy, from romance to a story of torment and redemption.
Yeah, I love this blurb because at the end of the day, this kind of is like a dark comedy, in my opinion, and I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I agree with you that it really does kind of just have every type of element of all kinds of shit in it. Political thriller, sexual intrigue. Oh, yeah, I would agree with that. I was looking for Destin Thompson. I don't know.
Always. Searching for Destin, the documentary.
That's right. That's what we're always doing on this show.
Christian Science Monitor?
We should have named this show Searching for Destin. We should have retitled our show that. Roger Ebert, of course. We got to get Roger on the record.
Ebes.
Reasons remain to watch this movie. The development of Fergus and the fine performances, most notably Whitaker and Richardson, who plays her character with just the right number of screws loose.
I've never quite understood the acclaim for Miranda Richardson in this movie. I think she's fine, but she's in like, what, 4 scenes?
It's because she like sacrifices her body for the
5
cause?
scenes? I don't know.
Is that why?
I'm not sure.
I kind of agree with you. I'm like, okay, she's devilish in her role.
But is she devilish? Is she funny? Like the person said.
She wants to fuck him, but they're not dating. She wants to fuck the other. I don't know what the story is with relationships in the IRA there with the volunteer Fergus and what
She's complicated.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does not seem simple. But I had no idea that this movie had anything to do with the IRA and political terrorism. That was for me a real big boost to this film.
Dude, this movie and Patriot Games is how Patriot Games is how I learned about what the IRA even was, and blown away, of course. This trifecta of early 90s films. I'm like, now I understand what the IRA is. I'm going to be a historian now.
Thank you. You said it, man. I saw Patriot Games a billion times and I saw it as a kid, but I never saw this movie. So Patriot Games was my only, and of course I saw Blown Away, but I hadn't seen this film. This film gives you a much more deeper look, I would say, at what's going on with like the people who are at the very bottom of the IRA, who are the ones doing the grunt work, which means murdering people. And
Neil Jordan is Irish, and it needed to come from an Irish perspective to get like, there's no glamorization of it here. It's like, yeah, they have a worthy cause, but like their methods are fucked. And and it's like it's detrimental to everyone who gets touched by it.
Awesome. That's a great point. I love that aspect. You got Forrest. I don't know. Maybe it's just that it's really hard now. I always run into this with the Americans who do British accents. How do we feel about Forrest Whitaker's accent?
I know he's not from there, but I think he does a good job. But also because this was the first Forrest Whitaker movie I ever saw, so I didn't know. You know, as a kid, my original viewing, I always thought he was British for a long time. I had no idea.
We got a closed caption situation here with me. I had to turn him on immediately. I couldn't understand what the fuck he was talking about. But yeah, I think he does a really good job. I mean, that's so pivotal. You got to be able to set up this relationship and what it means for Fergus within, what is this, like 15, 18-minute first segment in this first act?
It's almost an hour long.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Well, it's about 40 minutes before he gets... Yeah, because I hate that I remember this, but when I see the dick, it's an hour and 2 minutes. So I didn't even write it down.
Is that for Mr. Skin? Oh, you just memorized it.
No, because I thought growing up with this film, which I had not seen, but I just heard about, that it was like the final conclusion. So I checked the time when that happened. Oh, wait a minute. There's like 45 minutes left in this movie. So I was misinformed.
Surprising. I always thought my whole life that this was like the climax of the movie, like the big twist surprise at the very end. But there's a shitload to go.
I'm glad.
But yeah, no, I think he does he fucking does a fantastic job. I was worried that I'd become disinterested in the movie after this relationship between the two is over. But we'll see if that's the case. But I love him in the film.
We'll see if that's the case. I love Eric's teasers throughout every show we do.
You gotta wait 10 minutes.
I can't wait to get into it.
We're into it. We're gonna get into it. Yeah. That's not a big deal. Forrest Whitaker crushed it in the role. Besides the accent, he was emoting and really creating this dynamic with Stephen Ray where they really did seem to care for each other. And it makes you understand that people who get into this RMA life or any type of recruitment for a political cause or some type of socio-cultural cause that they maybe they believe in, but they don't really want to commit to. And Fergus is a guy who clearly is not a murderer.
Right. And also, I mean, Forrest Whitaker is literally acting in much of his role with a fucking bag over his head and killing it.
A velvet bag is so hot. Was that whatever it was?
Canvas,
It was a heavy
burlap.
Oh, canvas. Yeah. It looked awful.
It looked sweaty and dense.
It was. Oh, what about the opening, real quick? Like a slow playing of.
So good. One of the best openings I've ever seen in a movie. Love it. Establishes the mood immediately.
Yeah. Huh. And also, how does he get the extras not to point and stare? They must have all been like paid extras, like at that carnival. That was not like a carnival. He just walked up
Europe,
and started filming.
Apparently people don't give a fuck. And like when you're filming just like randomly in the streets and the major celebrities there, they do not give a shit.
That's funny.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious what you guys' take was. I didn't really care either way.
But it was very smooth opening. And you get introduced to all the characters in like one shot. Mm-hmm. Except for Dill, of course.
Dill, that's right. Yes,
Dill.
Feels like everybody would have died when the British SAS or whoever that was shows up to blow up that whole area. The fact that they lived, I was like, oh, come on.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, and also like the way that they kill the man that they've come to save and just run past his body. Yeah, he's like Neil Jordan isn't very forgiving of the British Army in this either, even though we don't get as much of them.
Oh, and what about the dynamic of people that are trying to be righteous, IRA people who believe in their cause, who are complete racist? I mean, that to me was not lost on me. That was he could have dove into it more, but I actually like that he just recognized that it was there because it's obvious for these people. They all recognize it, but then they go about the relationship between Ray and Forrest Whitaker. So I'm glad they acknowledged it. It was mentioned, but at the same time, you didn't need to harp on it. But I love that dynamic's exposed because people who really believe in caring about their people to do better for the overall community, but then other people are just like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets me thinking about why they even cast Forrest Whitaker in the first place. I mean, he has a unique ability to be extremely vulnerable and likable regardless of what his intentions are in a film. I think it adds a lot to the character. Like one thing that he does in the movie when you watch it, like I had to go back and watch it again, so I watched it twice in the last couple of weeks. He drops these interesting hints about Dill early on. Did you catch these? He talks about how Dill wouldn't be. What does he say? He says that Dill wouldn't be your type.
Yeah,
he talks about how women are nothing but trouble.
Yeah, he says women. Yeah, women are. What do you say? Women are difficult or something. I forget what he says. And he's like, "What about Dill?" It's like she's different. And he's like, "Yes, she is."
Yeah, he totally sells it too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, that makes sense now when you put it like that. I do get that. I also want to give credit to the writing again here for Forrest Whitaker's character. He doesn't fall into any tropes. He's a soldier, but he's not like, he's strong and he is powerful and he's a good athlete, but he's not like this kill kind of soldier. He's just a regular guy. He also is interested in his man, Dill, who he really cares about, and he's a really good athlete. Yeah. So, okay. So this is the whole debate about this guy is a man biologically, wants to be a woman, right? So,
well, I mean, Jay Davidson is a man, like he is a gay man, but the character of Dill is clearly a transgender woman.
Oh, I agree with that. I'm just saying that the aspect here of, okay, so is Forrest Whitaker's character, is he gay or is he just like transgender women? Is that a different vibe? To me, that's like, my head's just going to explode because I don't know how to express it because I just know what I do with my life, so I can't live it. I don't know.
Well, I think one of the points of the movie is that, like, what does any of that matter?
Exactly.
Love is what matters.
That's why it's a character that I like, because it's not tropey at all. It's just that you can't pigeonhole him on anything. He's just, we all have fluid interests and sexual interests, and whether we actually tap into them or not are two different stories. Whether we suppress them, that's another story.
Yeah. I do think he's, that Jody is a little flirty with Fergus when he's like trying, at one point he's like calling him handsome and baby face and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like when like Fergus literally holds his dick, but it's not sexualized, and they laugh about it. It actually seems pretty like not sexualized at the same time. So it's interesting. I don't really get the feeling. I feel like Jody is not attracted to Fergus at all.
Okay, that's an interesting point. You mentioned
feeling that Jody is recognizing some, for me, pretty obvious repression when it comes to Fergus's character, in terms of his tastes, you might say. That maybe that's just me, but I thought I was. I thought Neil Jordan was painting a pretty obvious picture about Fergus's repression and his own sexuality. That's why it was kind of made for a very interesting arc throughout the entire story for me.
Well, for me, it's like the exact opposite. Because for me, I'm watching a straight man overcome his repulsion and homophobia and his self-identity, even to fall in love with someone that he never thought he could fall in love with.
It's not spelled out and it's not given to us. But yeah, I think we have an arc where somebody who is afraid or ashamed is able to say, who gives a fuck? Love is love, just like what you said earlier, Travis.
But if he has repressed homosexuality, is he gonna fucking puke when he sees that it's a dick and punch Dill in the face?
That's his body's reaction to it. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. It
could be
it comes from the mental,
too.
though. I might see. This is opinion based now, where I see him as a guy.
Character.
Of course. No, but if you're talking about motives for real human beings and how people act, I mean, we're all human beings. We've lived life. I think
this is a good point. We are human. Yeah. We live.
See? Thank you. Show over. Good night. By the way, when Fergus lets Jody's dick out so he can piss, he got the most pleasure out of the piss. A classic pissgasm right there. Oh, and I know that feeling. We all know that feeling for sure.
I love a good pissgasm.
Oh, they're great. They really are good. A load of life's little joys. But when I consider the arc, Eric, of Fergus, like he refuses to let Dill call him honey. Don't call me that. He sticks to that all the way, right? Don't call me honey. He seems to love Dill, but he doesn't. I don't think there's a sexual attraction for him. I don't think he's hiding it.
What's someone in 1992 going to say to someone who's coming on to them if they're sexually repressed as homosexual? They're going to say, stop it, this ain't right. They're going to deny their own.
Yeah, but that's initially. Desires. I feel like there would be, especially the more time they spent together and how intense their lives become with this plot to kill this judge, and their lives are on the line. And she has her hair cut. Dill's hair gets cut, which was a huge identity for her, very painful for her.
That's a rough scene. And unnecessary, it turns out, which is like tragic in a way, because Dill is convinced that Fergus is getting ready to leave her. And then because of who she is, and then she's like, okay, well, I'll try and be who you want me to be, but she thinks that Fergus wants her to look like a man because that's something that he's into, but really he's like still lying to her because he's not told her about the fact that she's actually in danger, and it all ends up like not even mattering because ultimately Dill just blows away the threat as soon as it walks through the door, and that's the end of it.
What about? It's just annoying me because I'm like, is he really trying to allude to this or not? A blood disease with a bunch of pills? Is there supposed to be an HIV reference here? Because I thought that would be completely unnecessary.
He says she says what her condition is, and she says it's ennui.
That's it?
Yeah,
I thought it said it was ennui. Something in my blood. Oh, it's ennui's in my blood?
Yeah, she's depressed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious. It would have been pretty relevant for the time. It was 92, so it would have made sense. But
I could be wrong, but that's all I got from it.
Just curious.
Is this an obvious gay bar that Fergus is just fucking completely oblivious to?
Yes. It's so funny when he goes back into the metro and you kind of he's like seeing it through different eyes. He's like, oh shit.
Jim Broadbent.
Yeah,
Not
Jimmy
old,
Broadbent.
but old.
Jimmy Broadbent.
Yes, I
Yep,
caught that on
playing
your.
Cupid.
I caught that in your
Cupid
preview.
to these two motherfuckers. Like it's solid, but it's a classic bartender role. Clean those mugs, like wipe those mugs, and play telephone these motherfuckers.
The only trope in the whole movie that bothered me was that Jim Broadbent, he tries to tell him that, who Dill is.
She's on.
Wait. Yeah. Oh, let's not get the words out. Hey, it's like in Chasing Amy where you find out that she's a lesbian. Oh, it stops him mid-sentence when Hooper X tries to tell him, what's to know? I've seen this in movies a lot. Like, hey, you could just find out the reality, but hey, let's just, we got to let this mystery rat out. It's a film.
That's not dramatic. You gotta show the dick
I don't think
on
it
screen.
is.
It's much more
It's
dramatic.
stupid. Yeah. And if this was a Hollywoodized movie all the way, that dick would have been at the end of the movie. So that's why I'm so glad that Neil Jordan stuck to his guns and he made this movie how he wanted to.
Well, did you read that tidbit? Like, Neil Jordan's writing this Oscar-winning screenplay, and he gets to this point where he's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to have him go visit the lover of Jodie, and we're going to have some interesting relational dynamics here. Mm-hmm. But he runs out of gas. He doesn't know where to go from there. And he's like, I don't know, like, kind of bored. Do I even keep going? And he's like, oh, okay, I'll just make her a transsexual or whatever you want to label it as in 1992. Yeah, I don't know. That's, in my opinion, that kind of speaks a lot about where the film goes from there, because he is kind of throwing a monkey wrench, for lack of a better term, into his own story.
Well, the story is bisected, right? It's, you have the Jodie half and you have the Dill half, and Fergus, of course, being like the continuing line between the two. And to me, that you even mentioned that you thought like that the beginning was only 20 minutes or so speaks to the power of the second half, because that's when the movie really gets started. Is dramatic and is intense. Is that whole opening sequences, and I love that it's like taking place in this greenhouse where everything's nearly dead except for some of the plants that are usually behind Fergus. It's really well done, but the movie doesn't really get going until Dill is introduced, in my opinion.
Well, I'm fully connected and focused in on that as a first-time viewer for me, again, which I often am lately, it seems, that how Jodie ends up dying totally shocked me. Yeah. And I was surprised that I really thought that up until that moment when he started running away, I really thought that Fergus was going to kill him. And for some reason, he couldn't shoot him in the back. But if he got him to turn around, he would have shot him. Because I didn't know anything else about the motivations of Fergus's character. Beyond, he seemed to be a pretty friendly guy who had a lot of empathy for somebody who got caught in a shit situation that nobody else in the IRA, at least in that crew, had. So that was intriguing. But yeah, I guess the story fleshes out more when it goes into the second part.
Yeah. I'm very much engaged in the first half. Go ahead, Eric.
I'm at a crossroads here.
See you at the
myself. I gotta be honest. I know I do this a lot. Should I say this, or should I just like be like, all right, they seem to like it. Let's not have any.
Bring it on! Come on! Let's have some challenges here.
Once it's kind of established that, Dill is not who she seems to be, and I'm in these like 2023 norms, and I am, totally comfortable with whatever the fuck. The dynamic between the two and the sexuality and all that sort of stuff becomes completely like inconsequential to me, and I'm just watching a story about a guy and a girl in this relationship, and then they have to deal with this threat. It gets a little boring for me. Like I can see people in 92 being like, well, will they or won't they? For me, it's like, well, who gives a fuck? Like they are clearly like have some chemistry together, and there's some love there. Like, so what are we hanging on? Like, whether or not they're gonna like fuck again or do something else? It's like the power of the dynamic is lost on me, because I've seen so many of these relationships played out in subsequent films that it makes me not care that much about these two in this story.
maybe since I saw it before all those subsequent films gives me extra appreciation for it or something. But to me, it's like the fact that Dill holds Fergus hostage and in so doing saves his life, and McGuire dies in his place. And then Dill, who is like the damsel in distress, really, in a lot of ways, ends up being the hero and stands up for herself and her man and saves them both. And then is ready to turn the gun on Fergus, and she says, you know, he won't let me. And so like Jodie's ghost is still like permeates the film. I think that for me, the stakes that are literally life and death between these characters and trying to balance that between like, again, Fergus's identity. Am I a straight man who will do anything for Ireland, or am I someone that I can change how I feel about myself because I'm feeling things I didn't think I could feel, and also I don't want anything else to do with this sick path of terrorism.
I was waiting a lot for Fergus to finally reveal this truth to Dill. And I found myself like looking at my watch, like, oh, really? You're not going to do it now? You're still not going to do it? I mean, yeah. I know it's hard for him. It's a difficult position, and it has to kind of build up in a way where he feels he has no choice. But I'm kind of with Eric, where I was just like, okay, I don't know how much I care about this relationship either.
I was invested.
I was curious where it would go, but in terms of like an entertainment value between them, all that stuff they're doing when we first get to see Dill, and, you know, Jimmy Broadbent is the one who gets spoken to as the mediary between every word.
Yeah.
Jimmy, you know, tell him to fuck off. Jimmy, tell him to give me that look. Yeah. I was like, okay, well, that's fine. We're going to do this for another 20 minutes. Oh, okay. Well, is it going to it finally ended. Okay. You guys just talk directly to each other. That's fine. It's fine. That's not a big deal to me, but I don't know. I was like excited when Miranda Richardson shows up again out of the blue, and it's like, okay, now you got to pay for your sins. But I was also annoyed that they lived. So I don't know. It's a lot of mixed emotions.
Did you happen to check the runtime on when Miranda Richardson, when she shows up? Because that might have fucked a little bit with the plotting of the story. Like if she comes in a little bit earlier, if we know they're alive and there's this impending threat, I think that would have gotten my blood pumping a little bit. But I kind of felt like I was watching the Red Shoe Diaries for a lot of this.
Oh, Red Shoe Diaries is bad. It's not the first time you said this on this show, but you have...
That's what I call melodrama romance that I'm like, okay, all right, I get it.
You have the reveal that Dill is a biological man, and obviously there's the Fergus accidentally hits her. He feels bad about it, but he's upset. And then you have the showing up to the job site. And by the way, I like that dynamic, how it's like, fuck the rich asshole, this rich British prick. Yeah. That's a nice little dynamic. I always approve of that whenever we can take it to the rich. But then after that, I think is the scene after the job site is where Miranda Richardson shows up. So it's like another 5 to 10 minutes after that.
I also like how this Dave scumbag character that you think that it's him kind of stalking them for a while, but it's not him stalking them. It's McGuire in his car. Yeah,
that's right. It ends up being that way.
And I like that the Dave character shows that Dill is not who you know. Dill is a very sweet and good and loving person, but while she wasn't over Jodie in a heartbeat, some dude is like moving in right away. Dill is very, like she says, like, I'll be nice to anybody who just be nice to me. I'll do anything you want. I'll be yours forever. And she's so tragic because she's just like so mistreated by everybody. So I think that I'm just kind of I love that character so much, and watching finally someone who, of all people, the murderer, in other words, you know, in so many words, of her former lover coming into her life, and him having to like surmount his own shit. I think it, to me, yeah. Again, I'm very compelled by all that, but I hear your complaints.
Yeah, I just think Dill. Is it a good? I mean, it's a first acting opportunity right?
Yeah, and he only did 2 or 3 more performances, and then he went, I don't like all this fame and all these fucking jokes about my dick.
Oh, I'm sure it was hell on earth.
I can only imagine.
That was hell on earth. I have no doubt about that.
I can only imagine.
But,
and how brave to like do that, your first role.
I thought the acting was kind of suspect, though. That's what lost me. Stephen Ray is a great actor to me. He captures my attention, and that's what I have to bring up for me personally here. If we're bringing up our,
you thought Jay Davidson didn't do a good job? Academy Award nominated performance, didn't do a good job.
It doesn't matter what the fucking Academy says, man. I mean, Golden Globes are filled with people who are fucking scumbags. These places, I respect them at times, and I respect them at others less so. But for me, I was like, okay, it's didn't draw me in enough.
Yeah, it's hard for me to comment here. Like, yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I liked the performance, Travis, like quite a bit. Like I was sold on this role. Like I believed in what he was doing as her throughout the film. But he seemed to, for me, he just seemed to be playing notes. Mischievousness, sexy, mysterious, withdrawn.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of that going on for me. But I mean, even still, for a first timer who, from what I understand, agreed to do this just to get some like designer boots, he did pretty damn good.
Great, excellent written character. I just thought I thought the character was written was incredible. I just thought the performance could have been better. That's how I see it.
The writing here, like as soon as they showed like Fergus like on this construction site, I'm like, is he like undercover again? Like I didn't understand like what his like personal life was enough at all.
How
They
would
didn't tell me enough about
they
like
totally
what his
fucking
motivations
skimmed
and stuff
over
were.
it. Yeah,
I was like, put a mask on. I thought it was really well. I mean, maybe again, like I didn't think too hard because I've seen it enough times. But to me, it was like, okay, so he's going on the lam. He's going to try and hide from the IRA and from the British by going into the belly of the beast itself, London, and just assume some fake name and just try and get a small job and just live a quiet life is what I got from that.
oh, of course we got from that, but it's skimmed over like it's so easy. Hey, go talk to the father. Go on a boat. Shot of a boat. Now we're here. Like, oh, I didn't know it was that easy for a movie that was so strong on detail with the IRA and how they live in a.
That'd be a derailment, though. We spent
need
20
a
minutes
derailment.
watching them get papers forged and shit. Like Like that.
How about one
Orientation
quality
day.
scene? One quality scene that sets up the dynamic of how he became a volunteer and like, I don't want to live this life and can you help me out and is it feasible to get there? They could have put something in there that didn't have to drag it out.
I think we're getting shown, not told, with that in a lot of ways. We learn that he's a volunteer, and we learn through watching it when he tells Jody his fucking name and takes the mask off. We're like, this guy's not a professional. This guy's never killed anybody. This guy's not. He's totally in the wrong place. And you kind of just have to like pay attention and read into it and figure it out. And I like that about it.
I don't want to be spoon-fed. I completely agree. But also when a character or writing is done so well, I'm actually interested in seeing more when it's done well. And I think that's really all it is for me. Like, I really like what's going on here. Just give me a little more. You don't have to spoon-feed me.
Travis, can I ask you about your opinion on like the thematic elements of the story about the scorpion? What that says about Fergus as told to him by Jody?
Oh, yeah,
It
that in a
says
movie.
it's
How many
his
times have we seen
nature
that?
to be like this, and yet we know he's just this random guy who's just basically volunteering and way in over his head and expected to commit murder.
Right. I mean, isn't Jody making the point
the frog.
that he's the frog? Fergus is the frog, not the scorpion, right?
That's what I got.
Yeah. So he's saying like, you're a gentle creature. You're trying to be a scorpion, but you're a frog.
All the way.
And that was the first time I'd ever heard that as a kid. It's like old as fuck now. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you've heard it a million times now in a million different ways. But
More fresh
growing
back
up,
then.
yeah, I was like, oh, that's brilliant.
You're right. It would have been more fresh if I had seen it when it was 92. And, I didn't really know that story that famous.
And I think that I wouldn't. I mean, I was pretty young, but I would not be surprised if most people were unfamiliar with that story before this movie.
That's fair. You're right. That's just something. When we look back at movies 30 years later, it's going to come up.
Yeah.
Well, the driver in Drive has that scorpion on his cool-ass jacket, and that's a direct allusion to that tale.
I think there's a lot of directors who want to jump on that. It's a good tale. It's a timeless tale. It's like a lot of other tales that are going to get told again and again and again.
And I think it's the oldest argument is nature and nurture and all that kind of stuff, right? But that's what you're really struggling. That's what we're seeing Fergus struggle so much with is his own nature and trying to be true to who he actually is instead of who he thinks he should be or wants to be, or and so for me that's all incredibly compelling. Mostly because Stephen Ray plays it so quietly. He's so reserved and withdrawn. He never oversells anything. He never pushes too hard. He never is looking too long. He lives in that character, and I really, really buy it.
Yeah, it's not Leo DiCaprio or Jim Carrey or trying to emote everything through.
Right. It's a simple performance. He allows himself to play a simple character, and in so doing, gives the character great complexity.
And what about the ending? Apparently, there was a different ending. I haven't seen the DVD which has it on there. There's a bonus DVD they totally redid it because it was really panned.
There's a different ending originally, and then
they tested it and people got pissed about it. I don't know if it was a studio or what. But I like this ending. This ending's awesome.
I'm very happy with the ending of this. And again, like I said earlier, I think it makes sense, and it's really cool to have. It's again like this back and forth that keeps on this life for life, and in a way, like Fergus is trading his life for Dill now by taking the fall and going to prison for her. And it's just like this back and forth of being indebted to one another in these huge ways, and just through these randomly wild circumstances.
That's a good call. Well said. Was there any music besides the crying game in this that you're like, oh, there was a lot of swelling, I felt like, in this film.
I think it was interesting to end with Man singing Stand By Your Man.
I love it.
Is that what that was? That was a choice.
Yeah.
Not a great one.
Laughed. I thought that was
inappropriate. Yeah, I agree.
There's a militaristic score theme here too, with a lot of snare. Not memorable.
No, not particularly.
Well, anything else?
Eric, you got anything else? Oh, I've got one. One thing I didn't like about, whatever. This is just when we're talking about nature, this idea of scorpions and frogs. To get back to that point, Jody makes a point that there are those who give and those who take, and that's all bullshit. This frog and scorpion shit is bullshit. It's binary myth. Right? Like there's nobody who just takes, there's nobody that just is evil, there's nobody that's just any one thing. So that's one of the things I wasn't crazy about the film, is that it seems to be trying to make this point that you're this or you're that, and no one's this or that. And in fact, if anything, Dill is proof that there's a lot of in between.
Also, did you recognize the guy who played Dave? For me, I was like, oh, it's him!
From what?
Wayne's World 2. The guy who plays the roadie.
Come on.
Really? That's what it is?
The roadie.
I kept staring at his face. I'm like, who is that fucking guy? I know this guy so much.
No shit. Okay, I didn't think I'd seen Wayne's World 2 enough, but that must be it. It's funny.
Dell and Dave. Those are two characters he's played.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I said, this takes home the Oscar for Best Screenplay, but it's also up for Best Picture and Best Actor. And this is in 1992 with some pretty bold thematic elements here.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos. Yeah. And I listened to Neil Jordan's speech when he got the Oscar, and he's talking about how appreciative he was that the industry accepted a film with these themes in it, and he's talking about how he'd like to see more and more. And I'm watching this YouTube video here in 2023 like, you have to wait a little bit for that, Neil. It's going to be quite a long time before we come around.
Yeah, and don't watch it in Florida.
Okay.
So, should we do our final round? Who chose this?
I
Eric?
picked this movie.
Oh, you
picked it. Yeah.
Go for
I
it.
picked The Crying Game. The Crying Game. Crying Game. Intrigue. Sex. Social tales. Our roles in society. Blah, blah, blah. All that stuff. Everything you'd want in a movie. Laughs, dark comedy, violence, blood and guts, heads smashed with wheels. We're trying to save people's lives. We crush their heads. That's not cool. There's also just a lot of freshness. This is a 31-year-old film. It's very fresh in a lot of ways still. So for me, I'm going to say that this movie is a first-time viewer, very impressive. There's some things I nitpicked. I already said that, but I think this movie absolutely holds up. And there's a lot of things in it that today we'll still look back and be like, yep, well, that makes a lot of sense.
I'll go ahead and go next since I think, Eric, you're maybe less obvious where you're going, where I think it's pretty obvious how I feel about it. I think it's a gorgeous film. I think it's a beautiful love story. I think it is a brave movie in so many ways. And when we were going, we got kind of waylaid last week and we weren't able to record. And so, Eric, you had time to watch it twice. And I was looking forward to giving it a second watch, but this week just didn't give me the time to do that. But I will watch it again in the relatively near future because I had forgotten just how I liked it as a kid, but I appreciate it much better now. I think it's great. It holds up.
Yeah, Mike, it is kind of hard to believe that this is 31 years old. I look at this, especially after the second viewing, as something very, brave is such a silly word to use for a movie. I'm trying to use. No, it's cool. I'm just saying, like running into a burning building is definitely brave. I'm just trying to find something a little bit more appropriate. I don't know, man. It's a very original. Like, its originality is something that I probably applaud the most because I'd never seen a movie like this. And Travis, you talked about, and you brought up some great points. This is a life and death movie. I mean, somebody could look at this and be like, this is kind of like a really dark romantic comedy almost. If you throw out that first act with Forrest Whitaker and we got a guy meeting a girl or person at a bar and things get different.
They both have secrets.
Cute.
Yeah.
And then they have secrets. It could absolutely be this strange romantic comedy in the vein of something like, Grosse Pointe Blank or something. And in all honesty, those action elements are where I wasn't even looking at the screen. Like, I didn't give a fuck about that car chase or anything that Miranda Richardson did in the hotel. Like, all that. I didn't give a fuck. I was tuned into this relationship between Dill and Fergus here in 2023. And I'm saying, well, what are they saying in 1992? And they're saying very interesting things for me. I hold true to the fact that she was bringing something out of him that he was afraid to admit. If you do take another look at this film, maybe see it like that. You might change your opinion. But Neil Jordan's a filmmaker to be celebrated, man. I don't know where the fuck he is, and I want to see this Mona Lisa with Bob Hoskins. I heard this is fucking incredible that he made before this.
I talked about it a few years ago.
Have you?
Yeah, when I watched it, it's a solid 80s noir film. Totally worth checking out.
Yeah. The bottom line is we didn't get films like this then, and we still don't get films quite like this. I think we need to see stories that mean a little bit more, that have this representation in them. So I think it holds up.
Oh!
That's 3.
All right. Well, I appreciate everyone's different point of views. We all came to the same conclusion in the end, so doesn't matter how you get there. Or does it matter?
I don't know.
Who could say? Nobody knows anything. cinemanipod@gmail.com. Subscribe, YouTube, 5-star reviews, blah, blah, blah. Let's go back to the top of the board. Travis Roy, next week, where are you taking us?
Oh, shit.
I'm going to drastically shift gears, fellas. I'm going to get us out of the 90s finally, and I'm going to put us in a genre that we...
Good run, Kev.
Well, I guess it's still kind of noir, but much more action-oriented. I've got a movie in mind that, Eric, I'm sure that you have considered this one probably many, many times, and Eric and Mike, I bet you probably have too. We're going to go back to 2005, the movie that probably still holds the most viewings of mine in theaters, Sin City.
Wow.
Remember that movie? Remember Sin City?
They made a sequel.
Yeah, I didn't bother with that one.
Sin
but I'm ready to talk
City.
about the first one. That's been a long time since I've seen it, but I used to think it was pretty fucking great.
Sin City.
Nick Stahl's dick.
Oh, yeah, another dick movie. Cool.
Yes. Okay. Well, that is
Sin City.
Sin City. Yep.
6
That's a
times in the
fresh call.
theater.
I like
Didn't bother with the sequel. That says it all.
Yeah, that's exactly
Well, it was
what
like
I did.
9 years later too. That says a lot. Like, remember, it's like the Dial of Destiny when you do a sequel like 40 years later.
Easy now.
That's
I know
what
it's
it
not
was.
the first.
It was so long after. I'll make that point again next week probably. It was just so long.
I'm
after.
excited. I'm going to
Yeah.
have a lot to say.
I'm excited.
All right, it's cool. Sin City, Robert Rodriguez, Good Times Noodle Sal will be here
Frank
next
Miller.
week with Frank Miller, RoboCop 2's star,
right.
Frank Miller.
Behave yourself.
That's a good drop. I got to get that one. All right. Thanks, everybody. Travis, Eric, Michael, Sid9. We always appreciate everybody here. Thanks. You got any questions or commentary on what we said, or you challenge what went down for this episode? I think there's some real interesting stuff to flesh out. Sid9pod@gmail.com. Let us know. All right. Bye-bye.
Kill your own kind.